Here's the US dollar index chart. You see that last candle here. This is green daily candle currently happening right now, getting a little bounce. It has everything to do with crypto market cap, total crypto market cap charts. This is what that chart looks like, whether you hold Bitcoin, altcoins, doesn't matter. We're currently falling right now. The volatility in not only the markets, but the world in general continues to play a role in all of these choppy waters that we're seeing. Multi-month consolidation happening right now, but it all has a really good explanation. So if you're kind of wondering what's going on with crypto, why are we falling again? I'm going to explain that in this very brief video. So please hit the subscribe, hit the like, let's jump into it. There's a lot of moving parts here. And this is a very short-term focus video, I would say, because there's a lot of things happening right now in the short term that are playing into these charts. And this is what I want to break down. The first thing is just from a crypto perspective in general, right? 110 million, this was from yesterday, liquidated from crypto market in the past 60 minutes. What's crazy is, Sentiment posted a post about the liquidations and Bitcoin falling. Crypto's latest retrace is coming after longs were pouring in on exchanges at the highest rate since Bitcoin's all-time high. Here's what's crazy. Greed suddenly came pouring in on August 25th, and liquidations happened swiftly. It goes on to explain this is normal in either direction. Shorts getting liquidated, longs getting liquidated, and then we have this environment of choppy waters, just this game that is being played back and forth within the markets. The emotion playing out within these markets. So this is a very simple explanation of what is going on in that regard, but that's only one thing. The other thing is we do have short-term things that just don't look great, right? Here's a brand new one for the day. The SEC is now trying to claim that NFTs are securities. What's next? Baseball cards, comic books, and you can just see OpenSea has received a Wells notice from the SEC threatening to sue us because they believe NFTs on our platforms are securities. SEC continues their war against crypto, and that is a narrative that is still there, that hasn't left. It really does bring fear into the markets. That's something that's playing into it. So we have liquidations playing into it. We have fear headlines playing into it. We have fear headlines playing into the broader markets, not even just crypto, but just stock markets in general. Warren Buffett sold another $980 million in Bank of America shares. We have that playing into it. We're going to dive into the short-term charts and discuss and break down the analysis of the charts, but we have this playing into it, the US dollar index playing into it. Here's a current bounce on the daily candle. You go over here on X, and there's some posts I actually like. This one, dollar index, it appears that history may be on the verge of repeating itself, and you can see they have the dollar falling even more, right? Even there's a short-term bounce, dollar forming more. This is probably if you're looking for a parabolic bull run for crypto, this is probably the move that will very much help that happen. US dollar falling. The dollar's insanely oversold. It will get its dead cat bounce to targets marked below and then resume its broader downtrend. You can see this is, I think, from a technical analysis perspective, a very simple, realistic setup. A bounce happening right now in the US dollar index. You can just see it on the daily, and then down further. So who knows what it looked like? Maybe retracing those moving averages further down. This could cause some volatility for Bitcoin charts over here. But I want to note something before we even get into the Bitcoin charts. Bitcoin's within this channel, this falling channel that it's been in. It's still within reasonable structure. It's right in the middle of all of the structure. There's nothing crazy happening on the Bitcoin chart right now, and people kind of are freaking out about it. So we're going to see what happens with the US dollar index. But here's the other short-term thing I really want to keep in mind before we dive into the Bitcoin charts. It's this. Nvidia earnings today, 4:20 p.m. Eastern is the earnings release. But you can see some of these posts. The world, if Nvidia misses earnings, just chaos if it happens, right? So this could be a very bad thing for markets. Nvidia missing their earnings. But if they hit our earnings, it could be a very good thing. Earnings day, there it is, 4:20 p.m. So keep this in mind when looking at the charts right now. This is a very big deal. I'm going to explain why. Happy earnings day. Where are we going to dinner tonight? If Nvidia misses, McDonald's. If Nvidia beats, wherever you want. So a lot of people are watching this. And so Nvidia, they're a huge company, right? Like $3 trillion, I think, is their valuation or something. And keep that in mind. It's like $1 trillion more than the entire crypto market cap, but they play a big role in AI and semiconductors. But if they have a really strong earnings, then it's going to really play into the broader confidence in markets in the tech sector. And that's what the market is looking for right now. When we look at these charts, right? And even when these investors are looking at the US dollar index getting a little bounce here, they're looking for something that can move markets higher, a boost of momentum, any catalyst that can do that. Nvidia, this $3 trillion valuation of a company, has the ability to do that with a really strong showing in earnings. So, and I think it's the emotion aspect of people. There's so much uncertainty in the world. There's so much economic uncertainty, the interest rates narrative, the elections. There's so much happening. Investors are looking to things like Nvidia earnings, and they're very much doing it on the short term. And I'm saying that, I'm trying to highlight the short term because all of these things are happening in the short term. Dollar's getting its bounce in the short term. Nvidia's about to release their earnings in the short term. Massive Bitcoin liquidations in the short term. And there was like this rush to greed. And what's crazy about that is if you look at the historical values in like the last month of the fear and greed index for Bitcoin, look at this. Last month, greed 74. And then it plummeted. Last week, it was at 26. Now it's bouncing. Now it's back in fear. So much short-term emotional volatility. And this is why I like technical analysis. That very long intro brought me to the Bitcoin chart. And we can apply the same thing if you look at the total crypto market cap chart. I mean, the charts look so similar, but let's just use a Bitcoin chart. This really is the roadmap for crypto. I look at this and I'm like, man, all of this noise, all of these headlines, whether they're good headlines, whether they're bad headlines, because keep in mind, there's a ton of really bullish headlines too. There's a ton of really bullish data points that we've been talking about in this YouTube channel. But then I look at this chart and I'm like, all the noise kind of just goes away from me. And this is why I do technical analysis, because when there are all of these headlines and they're pulling in different directions, there's this tug of war, the bulls and the bears. I just very simply open up this chart and I see structure. I see there's not been a break to the downside. There's not been a break to the lower of the lower trend line. There's not been a break of the upper trend line. Bitcoin on this chart is almost very much in the middle of all of the structure. And so I focus on the technical analysis aspect of this. And right now, you know, days like today when there seems to be a lot going on, a lot of volatility, I become very interested. Like in around 4 hours, Nvidia is going to release their earnings. What will that do to aftermarket? Because stock market will be closed. What will that do aftermarket in aftermarket hours? And more specifically, this is a crypto video. What will that do to crypto? And so I'm watching this consolidation. These dips happen all of the time, whether we're about to bounce here and get our breakout, whether we're going to fall more and even actually break to the downside and then pull back into the channel, get our breakout there. Dips happen. You zoom out on a daily chart, whether we're in an uptrend or not. Look at this awesome uptrend from the bear market low on the daily, November, bear market low, an insane uptrend, 300, almost 400%. What do you notice in there? I just notice massive dips, massive volatility, red candles all over, Bitcoin falling all over, just making its way to gains, but falling along the way. And you can look at last bull market even. It's exactly it. Red candles, big dips, especially this time last bull market. Like back here in this vicinity, you can see Bitcoin falling before really entering the parabolic bull. You just scroll on any Bitcoin or crypto chart, we get these dips all the time. So when we zoom in and we're looking at, man, the last, three days have been red. How low is this going to go? I think that's a ridiculous way to look at these charts. And I'm speaking to myself because oftentimes I'll be zoomed in on the charts and I'll just be like, oh man, what's happening? And then I zoom out. I'm like, okay, there's nothing happening right now. There's just continued consolidation right now, and I'm going to watch to see what Bitcoin does next. So let's say, and this is complete speculation, let's say earnings are terrible actually, or they're just not what people wanted to see. We might see Bitcoin test this trend line because, stock market after hours might not do well. Tomorrow might be a red day. Bitcoin crypto could fall further. This is something to anticipate. This is that next massive support area. It's around $52,000 to $53,000. Keep it in mind. Even in this move, this would be a normal move for Bitcoin, for crypto. But what if earnings are really good? And what if the market responds very well and any short-term negative headlines get kind of forgotten very quickly, because that's what happens. What does Bitcoin do on this chart? Well, I'm watching these areas. Once again, we finally got the momentum to break above them and we fell back below, but it's the moving averages. The 20-day moving average around 60,500 or 400. The 50-day moving average around 62,000. The 200-day moving average around $63,600 or so. That's the range. That is all I'm watching in terms of any type of move to the upside. I want to see Bitcoin above the moving averages. In any uptrend, short-term, long-term, this is what happens. If we just look at the last midterm uptrend, actually it's a pretty long-term uptrend. What did Bitcoin do? After consolidating, it flipped above all the moving averages and then just higher highs, higher lows above the moving averages. That is very simply what I'm looking for the bullish confirmation, for the bullish environment. We've had to be very patient to see if it even happens. You can see the moving averages for months have just been kind of just wrapping around each other. There's been no higher highs, higher lows above these moving averages. And there's really been no lower lows and lower highs really above the moving averages. It's just been a consolidation of it all. So bullish move to the upside. I'm seeing if Bitcoin can finally make its way back to test this upper trend line around 68,000, 69,000, and then bearish to the downside. And Nvidia could trigger each direction. I really think it could on the short term. We have this move down here to the $52,000, $53,000 area. So this is what I'm watching, everybody. But right now, I think it's a good idea just to chill out, let things play out, keep an eye on the US dollar. Maybe this takes a week or two to get a little bit of some type of swing high before going lower. And then that's the moment. But I think we really have to let all of these things play out. Because there's a very strong case that this dollar, and I didn't dig into this chart as much as I wanted to, this weekly chart, there's a very strong case that this could go lower, and this plays heavily into these bull cycles that we've had previously, right? So if this goes lower right now, this could be a huge deal for the current bull cycle for crypto. So we can talk about that more in another video. Everybody, thank you for just cruising by, watching. I appreciate you. Hit the subscribe, hit the like, turn notifications on as we continue just to do all of this crypto analysis. I hope you have a good day. I'll see you in the next video. God bless.